Okay, keeping with the format that we are going to have, perfect as close to 8:40 as possible. This will be the last question for the evening. I do apologize for any of those of you who did submit questions that were not used, but we are trying to adhere to the time limit. The final question of the evening: what are the challenges that the administrators face in working with the school board? Again, what are the challenges that the school district administrators face in working with the school board? And we will begin with Mr. Chrisman.
I didn't have to write it down. Okay, the challenges as an administrator, if they say to me as an administrator, by the way, you have 105 first graders, and you must use 4 teachers for those 105. That presents a challenge. I think the class sizes, as that's increasing, especially in Region 3, and I can speak personally from Gilbertsville, and I also know New Hanover, that the class size is going to the point where that will present a challenge for the principal, because how do I do this? How can I sell that to my parents, who I know aren't going to accept that? So I think we have to work closely with them. That's the biggest challenge I see that's going to come up for schools there. I think another one is remediation, and trying to get the remedial help to the students that need it. And if we say you don't have the teacher, that's going to be an impossible task. It's unfair to the children.
Mrs. Savage.
If I understood the question correctly, it's how the challenges the administration faces in working effectively with the board.
That's correct.
Okay. I think part of it is to establish a good working relationship. Help the board do what it's supposed to do and guide the board to do what it's supposed to do. There's a tendency for all of us, and some of us more than others, to want to get into the weeds and the details, but we are not the experts. We need to provide the governance, but we have to leave it up to administration, the experts that we hire to tell us how to achieve and that guidance that we give them. So that's one thing that I think is very difficult for our administration. And there's a lot of differing opinions on a 9-person board too. It's very different having 9 bosses than 1. It's a very, very difficult job. And I think it's also, they have to educate us a lot about the mandates and things that we are and are not allowed to do, and sometimes those are pretty complex issues. So they do a good job of it, but I'm sure it's a challenge.
Mr. Alcio.
I think there's a few challenges. Donna kind of nailed it on the head there, hit the nail on the head. You know, you got 9 board members, clearly diverse views on there, but I think it's really about building a rapport. And interestingly, I went to a 1-day class on the school board, and the group that was there, as the speaker was talking, tried to make the point that a school board governs a district. It doesn't manage the district. And even gave some examples, and it was amazing how many folks struggled with that. And I think it's important that the board realize, you know, we're there to govern the board, or to govern the school district, and let the administration manage the school district. If they don't do a good job, well, there are steps to address that, obviously. But really working together is key. Thank you.
Mrs. Hartford.
The challenges administration has facing in working with the school board is that they're working with a diverse board that we have currently. We have a board that is not on the same page on all issues. The board coming, let's say with this election coming up, I've been on now for 12 years, so we have had collaborative boards, we've had diverse boards, and we have divided boards. And I think it's a much better board for administration and our students, teachers all the way down, is when we have a collaborative board. We can disagree, but we also have to agree to disagree. And as a board, we're 9 members, and when the vote is 5-4, then that is the vote. In other words, you support what has that decision, because you are unity as a board. So I think that's the most difficult thing, and administration has a hard time dealing with 9 separate members, telling them what to do.
Mr. Nichols.
I guess I would have to say that what I see on the board is not only a lack of communication, but micromanaging. Micromanaging everything, refusing to vote on things, and then no explanation. It's just mind-boggling. If I'm going to vote no on something and you ask me why, I'll give you an answer. That's what we're there for. The administration, they administer the school. We are the governing body. And it looks ridiculous sometimes, and you've all seen it, so I don't have to tell you, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to me. When I ask a question of why the no vote and somebody tells me that's personal, I have a problem with that. And we're talking about something I want to talk about in public because I'm disgusted with it. Thank you.
Did I miss anyone in the last question? Okay. That concludes the questioning segment. Just a couple of quick announcements, but before we get into that, I think these candidates deserve a round of applause. Mr. Peabody is especially impressed with how the candidates adhere to the time limits. And I'm shortening what he said, but I am grateful to Ed for his assistance. And I will say this to this audience, and I am not patronizing, I'm being totally sincere. This is absolutely one of the finest and most respectful audiences I have ever had. I think you deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. A real quick sermonette. I promise I'll keep it quick. In light of everything, I promise, Ken. In light of everything that's happening within the school district, within the board, and all the contention, and all the concerns, and sometimes backbiting, etc., etc., let us all please keep in mind on a daily basis the things that really matter. The things that matter are mutual respect, caring, and love for one another. And I cannot emphasize that enough. Those are the things that matter. And please go to your friends and neighbors and your coworkers and remind them the same, that there are some things in life that are actually, believe it or not, more important than everything we talked about tonight. So I just wanted to share that. I'm done with my sermon. Gwen Simmons would like to make a comment. Come on up to the mic.
I didn't.
Well, you had permission.
I'm going to split from this meeting because I'm going to the concert at the high school band orchestra. It's their last concert this year. Started at 7.
Just want to let everybody know that you should head to the concert shortly. Final comment by one of our organizers.
Yeah, I do want to bring that back full circle, because I think a lot of the positive things that you are seeing happening are a result of what all of us as ordinary people are bringing into this process. When we said in many ways to teachers, we'll back you up. If you go for a pay freeze, it doesn't mean that there was fear that, well, what if the school board gets in and they don't like us? And next year we go back and we can't renegotiate. But there are community members who have said, we'll go to bat for you. We'll be part of the community task force. There are a lot of people who've brought many ideas for generating revenue, all kinds of things. This is a story of ordinary people getting involved, of a community becoming united on all of these issues. So this is our story, Boyertown. And so let's take this not just from tonight, but let's carry this forward. And let's look at, the years coming up. Now, it's not over yet. There's a vote, as she said, coming up on Wednesday. So let's pray, let's get involved, let's encourage those votes. Let's go out May 17th and vote. Be aware and take the voter guide that relates to your region. As much as we love, what was heard by all candidates, we need to make decisions for our own region. For our voting. So be careful in making that decision. Hopefully we'll have the video up on YouTube if you want to see that again and kind of examine that. And I'm going to ask Matt Green to watch it and give his thoughts as well so that, Region 1 will get to hear what he has to say. I do want to say thank you to the folks who worked so hard to put the voter guide together, to Amy McBlain, to Josh Bennett, and to Robin Ward, who contacted all of you, knocked on some people's doors, sent email, phone calls. It's unprecedented what you guys have done. Thank you for that. I would ask everyone in here, if you have any way that you can distribute those voter guides, please do. There's no greater discouragement to voting when you don't think that you can make a good decision, is there? And so let's do what we can to put information in people's hands like that. Then finally, be vigilant over the next week because there will be some negative stuff that's put out. It always happens every year. We as a community need to stand by what Jim admonished us to hold true, and that is to be positive, to look for the facts, to look for the truth, and not let any special interest change that. So I would encourage you, if you get any material from anyone who's bashing one another or something like that, we need to expose it. We need to find the facts because we can't just make empty statements and expect to make good decisions. So as a community, we're taking this back, aren't we? And making a difference. Thank you, candidates, for the work that you've done. Thank you, everyone, for being involved in this. And let's take this forward over the next week and over the coming years to make this the kind of Boyertown that we want to live in for a lifetime. Thank you.